coach Brian Kelly. The Tigers will travel to Clemson on Saturday night at 6:30 Central on ABC. And Coach, while we wait on any questions to come in, if you could take a moment to comment on your team as you prepare for the season opener at Clemson on Saturday.
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, I think everybody is in the same place at this time. Excited, anticipating the opener for players, coaches, staff, fan bases is what this is all about. Getting a chance to see your team play and perform. I'm excited about our team. I love the way that they have worked tirelessly since January to put themselves in a position to, have a goal, a challenge in front of them in playing a top 5 team in Clemson. But again, I think at this time of the year, everybody is waiting to play the game. We're still practicing, but you can tell the guys got an eye toward this opener. So, like I said, I think our fan base is excited. I know they are. I know our players are, our staff is, and we've got a great challenge against an outstanding football team and program, and what Davo's done there is as good as anywhere in the country. So excited about the opportunity, but know it's going to be a great challenge.
All right, for questions, use the raise hand function, please, and we'll begin with Mike Griffith of AJC Dog Nation.
Coach, obviously playing the ACC defending champs, there'll be some, down the line, this game's going to be looked at closely by the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. Recently, the SEC moved into a 9-game schedule in the future, an enhanced metric being put into play. How confident are you that this enhanced metric will play a role, and how important is it to be able to continue to play these sorts of games?
Yeah, look, a lot of those decisions are made at our commissioner's level, and I know Greg Sankey has been, on top of this. In other words, in answering your question, making sure that the selection process, is what we believe it should be, and what the country believes it should be, and it's based upon getting the best teams in the playoffs. So. I think when you add a 9th SEC game and a Power 4, when you have 10 games, I think that's going to match up and stack up as to being the best, scheduling in the SEC. So I think you're going to see the proof in terms of what this looks like after this year. But I think everybody's pretty confident that conversations took place that should get the strongest teams into the playoffs.
Next, we'll go to Jack Doucette of WAFB.
Hey, good morning, Coach. Can you hear me?
I can. Thanks, Jack.
Hey, Coach. We were putting together a video, highlight video of guys from last year returning this year, and Aaron Anderson is just impossible to stay away from. It gets a little redundant in the highlights there. How big of a year did he have for you? And maybe we haven't talked about him enough because of the new guys you've added in the room this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's a playmaker, right? I mean, you said it best, and we see that as well. But supporting him with others so it doesn't become, as you know, last year we struggled with big plays at times, and to have a Barry Brown and Nick Anderson, Kyle Parker healthy, Xavier Thomas, and Chris back. I mean, that's a big add compared to where we were last year with really just Aaron making those big plays. So supporting him was crucial to us in the offseason. I think we did that, and now, he doesn't have to be the only playmaker, and it makes it so much more difficult to defend him.
And on a lighter note, Week says his playlist is Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and Van Halen. That might have been his dad's playlist too, but what do you listen to before games, if anything?
Whatever they got in the locker room. I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of adapt to what the players are listening to more than anything else. If I had my way, it'd be a lot more Bruce Springsteen. I'd show you my age a little bit more with 70s and 80s music. But, it doesn't surprise me because, with such a high, strong energy guy, I'd be a little concerned if there was some Frank Sinatra in there.
He is a headbanger. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Next, we'll go to Scott Ravelay of The Advocate.
Good morning, Brian. Can you hear me?
I can, Scott.
Okay, good. We're in mid-season form. Okay, that's good. You mentioned on your radio show last week what it took financially to put this roster together for this season. I was wondering, how much of an impact do you think, if at all, was the Bryce Underwood decision on that in terms of finally getting boosters and donors and people to understand what was needed to get on board to build a roster like you have this year?
Yeah, I think, Scott, all of those things play into, what I've said from day one. In this new model, you have to be able to adapt to current circumstances. And certainly that was one big one that we had to address and adapt to. Look, at the end of the day, it was our fan base that stepped up and said, we need to be part of this. And I think that more than anything else, with the gift that I made and then it being followed up with, over 1,000 to 1,500 individual gifts to support our roster. I think that said that everybody had their ear to the ground and had to be ready to adjust or, as I said, really just be much more in tune to what was going on in college football at the time.
Thank you.
We'll stay with The Advocate and go to Koki Riley.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Koki.
So outside of the late practices on Saturdays that help you guys sort of prepare for the Saturday's game, what other adjustments did you make during the preseason with your practice schedule, with the way you do things on a day-to-day basis to help prepare you guys for Clemson that was different than the last few years?
Well, in terms of the opener, we upgraded our roster. And I think that that's probably at the end of the day the biggest thing we have. Look, everybody talks about iron sharpening iron. We didn't have iron all the time. We had iron versus butter. Butter doesn't like iron. And so, from that perspective, the competition in camp was so much different when you have the kind of depth that we have built here, and it's taken time, right? And we still have some work to do. I think that's probably the biggest difference. There's some nuances in terms of our schedule. We got into a routine, a game week schedule earlier than I had in the past. But the other things are pretty similar. Like, you're on the road in a very loud environment. You've got to play a lot of loud music and work your way through those things. But I'd say the roster is different. There's a lot more depth, which creates a lot more competition in camp.
Yeah, just with the game week schedule, I was just wondering if there was any. I was just wondering how the game week, going into that game week schedule earlier, how that has specifically helped you
Well, we're going to find out, right? I mean, this was really about trying to get into a routine, so game week didn't feel so unusual. And I think our guys really adapted well to understanding that even in camp, each day of the week, which is part of our in-season routine, was laid out. So they knew what to expect, even in camp, in terms of, what the practice was going to look like. And I think that allowed them to be a lot more intentional about their work each and every day. But again, the proof is in how you perform, right? I mean, our preparation has been really good. We have to go perform now.
That's all your time today, Coach. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.